We will call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. I feel like I'm a teacher. Class, what is it? Eyes on me. Eyes on me.
2, 3.
Eyes on me. Okay, I'll have to refine that. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to ask Sue Gould if she'll do roll call, please, Sue.
Jack Sayer.
Present.
Jessica Lenave.
Present.
Chuck Melkey.
Here.
Andrea Fick.
Present.
Kim Winter.
Present.
Carrie Germain.
Present.
And Holly Jarvis is absent.
Yes, Mrs. Jarvis can't join us tonight. I am now going to invite all of you to stand and join us in the pledge. All right. We have an opportunity at this time for public comment that's related to the agenda that's before us. If anybody would like to address the board, please come forward to the podium, state your name, and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Anyone? Not seeing anyone raise their hand or come forward. All right, moving on. We do have a consent agenda before us. I would entertain a motion for approval. So moved. Jessica?
Forward.
Was that Chuck? All right. Any comments or questions? Hearing none. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
Carrie Germain.
Yes.
Andrea Fick.
Yes.
Kim Winter.
Yes.
Jessica Lenave.
Yes.
Jack Sayer.
Yes.
6 yes.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. We have an agenda and everything else underneath it. All right, we are now going to turn it over to Mr. Heatherton for our superintendent report, which I'm sure is a very robust report given that we've started school. So Mr. Heatherton.
Thank you. We are very excited to be back at school this week. We had a half-day return on Tuesday, and our first full day of school was today. A lot of activities leading up for that preparation. Mr. Kitchen and I always joke that we do all the hard work during the summer so that the buildings can take over now. So we're pretty excited about that. A couple of the things that were going on. We had our PD Day for teachers on Monday. Did a little talking and learning and facilitating around values, district values, wellness, collective efficacy, which is one of our MyKIP goals this year, achievement teams, which pairs with our collective efficacy. We then had some team building with our teachers and principals, lunch, and then in the afternoon they went back to their home buildings and had 3 hours of PD directly related to building topics. We also had training on our new dragons. We have about 18 new dragons. I'm going to go over that later here. And Mr. Kitchen leads the new dragon training. They do this training quarterly, so this is the first of 4 meetings for our new teachers. The first session was basically going over the backbone of the dragon, those things that are important to Swartz Creek, like our MTSS process, our 5D evaluation and coaching, our district values, our SBG learning, and we have different departments come in and give them updates on things they need to know to start the school year. We also had instructional coaching retreat this year, and we are happy to say that we now have 6 instructional coaches, up 4 just from the start of the beginning of the year last year and up to from the middle of the year, and those are all done with grant funds. We had a secretary's training with the principals. A big piece of that was a financial training from our finance director, as well as some technology with Mr. Smith back there, and the principal sat in on that so that everybody could get on the same page with what needs to be done with our SIS and all the other financial systems in place. The coaches and other MTSS team members did an SSP training. So our SSPs are our student support professionals, sometimes referred to as parapros, other times referred to as aides, but we've been calling them SSPs for about 5 years. They had a refresher on DIBELS. They had a refresher on trauma-informed care. They had a refresher on reading interventions and a refresher on monitoring. We had a bus driver's training, and that was a 6-hour training led by RC and his team. And so that was the bulk of the work over the last 2 weeks. And a couple of things coming up. Tomorrow is our first home football game, 7 o'clock versus Flint. So if you're listening there tonight at home, come on out and enjoy a game of football. We only have 4 home football games this year, so this is our first of 4 home games. Mr. Kitchen and I had the opportunity to get into every building as we kicked off the year, and the energy was fantastic. I would say we got to see 75, almost 80% of the classrooms, and they looked fantastic, and the teachers were very excited for the students to show up in the afternoon. And we both got to, I think, 10,000 steps by noon before the kids got here. So back to our 18 new members. Usually this second meeting in August is where we kind of fill out the rest of our staff, but we did a pretty good job. We only have 1 teacher tonight, and that'll be for a DEEC position. That leaves only 4 situations out there that I know of. That is 1 speech teacher, and we are in the middle of that process right now. That is 1 VLC teacher, and that is posted. And we have 2 long-term subs who are just completing certification from the state. And once those 2 complete those certifications, they will come before you for hire. So after that, as far as the certified staff, we are full. I don't know if you saw the email today, but the annual leadership conference for MASB is happening November 9th through 12th at the Lansing Center. You have Rodney Page, the Grable Foundation, and a student panel as the highlights to that. If you're interested, you can talk to Sue. I know that they have the DoubleTree by Hilton in the courtyard down there if you want to stay. Or if you want to drive back and forth, that's an option as well. But November 9th through the 12th is the annual MASB Leadership Conference. And lastly, I know that we had 2 birthdays this week, Carrie on Monday and Jack on Thursday. So I think our singing specialist should lead us in a little happy birthday.
We have a great
we all know who that is.
Katie's here, it's a party, so here we go. Happy
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Carrie and Jack. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. That was lovely.
And that is what I have. Thank you.
We do not have that kind of time. Oh, boy.
It takes a lot less than that if they go quick.
When they're in kindergarten. So any questions for Rod? No? Thank you, Rod. Appreciate it, and all your teams have done. I had a chance to go to the beginning of the PD on Monday, and it was really nice to see everybody smiling and laughing and working together, and then I kind of scooted out when they were going to do their, what were they, games? Yes, teamwork games. But thank you to everybody who organized that as well. Now we are going.
Carrie, I do have a couple questions. I
Sure,
apologize.
Sure, go ahead.
The 6 coaches that we're hiring, you said that was with grant money, Rod?
Yeah, the 2 we already did at semester time last year, and that was with the consolidated app. And then the rest we're going to go into either 31A or Title II, Title 1. I have to ask Kevin, but all the coaches are in one of the grants, state or federal.
How long are we obligated to keep them? You know, I mean, if you don't, that's okay,
No, I don't understand the question.
How long are we obligated to keep them with the grant money? When's the grant run out? Is it a year-to-year grant?
Grants are yearly. We're obligated because they're in the SCEA. We don't run our teachers who are in grants separately like a lot of districts do. So they're always going to be a part of it. Like, there are many districts that'll hire a Title I or a Title II teacher outside of the contracted teachers union, and then they become at-will employees on a year-to-year basis. That's not how it works in Swartz Creek. The grants themselves are reapplied for every year.
If the grant is not approved, what happens to that employee?
They would go back into the classroom.
And then that would just bump the low seniority, or however you guys do your evaluations for the just for lack of better terms, lower seniority people.
Yeah, if there was a need for a layoff,
If there
Title
was.
I, Title II, and 31A are up into the over 2 million range now, so I don't see those going away anytime soon.
Do they make more money or less money than any of our other staff, or is it based on your seniority?
It's the exact same contract. They're in the SCEA.
So there's steps and lanes and seniority, right?
Yeah, there are 12 steps. It's a 4-year contract, 12 steps and 5 lanes.
So are we creating new positions, or are these, I guess they're new positions, but they're granted? If the grant doesn't apply, we eliminate that position, everything falls downhill. For lack of better terms, the lower seniority people, then they would be laid off.
That's possible. I haven't seen that happen with these. These are huge state and federal grants. These aren't small grants.
Who pays for the retirement? Does that come in with that, or are we paying that out of our general budget?
The entire salary comes out of the grant, including retirement.
All right, thank you.
Anything else, Chuck?
No, I think that's it. I'm good
Okay,
with that.
thanks. All right, moving on, I'm going to welcome for our second time Ms. Reese Worm, and she's going to give her student board representative report.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well tonight. So I'm just going to start off with some events that the high school has coming up. So seniors have Senior Sunrise coming up, which is a Swartz Creek tradition, which I know everyone is super excited for, including me. The boys varsity football team have their first game this Thursday, as you said, and the student section's theme is beach, which is also a Swartz Creek tradition. So good luck to the boys. Everyone just went back to school this Tuesday, and it was so exciting seeing new faces and a lot of excitement from staff and students this year. The first day went great, and I think a lot of us are super happy to be back. So moving on to the middle school, teachers said they spent their first day getting to know their students and building relationships with them. The middle school had their open house last night as well as a back-to-school event, so they both were a great success. So as the upcoming weeks take place, teachers will start school behavior expectations, and it's all great things to hear from them. So I'm still waiting to hear back from some of the elementary school teachers, but at our next meeting, I will update you guys about what our younger dragons have been up to. Another important thing on my agenda that I wanted to talk to the board about was the roundtables that we have obviously done in the past couple years. So it's up to you guys if you'd like to continue that. I've talked to some students that have attended these roundtables, and they thought they were very beneficial, and they really liked talking to you guys. So I feel like that'd be a great thing for us to continue. Other than that, I will just get back with you guys about what the elementary students are up to, and as well as more information as the school year continues.
Thanks, Reese. Any questions for Reese?
Yes.
Go ahead, Andrea.
What is the senior sunrise?
So basically, the seniors will go on the football field around like 6:30, and we'll watch the sunrise come up, and I think it's just a senior tradition that they've always done, but I think us seniors always look forward to it, but yeah, I'm excited for it.
What day are you
Titles.
doing it?
12 seniors.
What day?
Oh, we haven't decided. We had to postpone because it was raining outside, but it'll be sometime next week, hopefully.
Okay.
I have go ahead, Jessica, you go ahead.
I personally thought that the roundtables were very beneficial, and I would love to see at least 2 in the year, one possibly this fall, because it was really nice to be able to come back and talk to the kids later in the spring and see how we've done, what's been addressed, if perceptions have changed, if behaviors have changed, whatever actions had been taken. So if we could do at least 2, I think that'd be very helpful.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I would echo that, and I would even say maybe connect with Sue and have her try and set up like one of them polls so that we can get her our schedules and our timings. We can all try to be there and attend. I think that would be best course of action.
Perfect.
Did you have something, Kim? No? Okay, all right. All right, thanks again, Reese. And we do look forward to the roundtables. I think all of us who've been able to go thought they were very beneficial. And I know we've done it a couple different ways, but I think we're open to just having the opportunity and relying on you to kind of set the stage for all of us. Okay? Thank you. All right, in your packet, you do have a list of some non-certified staff that have been employed, support staff at the different buildings. And next, we have on our board discussion, the Swartz Creek Community Schools Summer School presentation.
Yes, we are very excited to have the summer school team with us here today. This is, goodness, I don't know, our 5th or 6th year, but our 3rd year doing it with ESSER money. And 7th, sorry, is that what I'm hearing out there with my teacher ears? 7th year in its format and 3rd year in its expanded format with ESSER. So the last 3 years we've broken off and had a K2 camp, a 3-5 camp, and a 6-8 camp. It's been a fantastic model, serving up to 400 kids each year. So Katie, if you and the whole team want to come up, I don't know how you've split this out, so.
Well, we are very excited to bring you our annual presentation for summer camp. We have the Swartz Creek Dragon Summer Camp. We have with us the site coordinators, the before and after care, and we have some information that we'd like to share with you. So go ahead, Travis, we'll start. Oh, I have the clicker? Oh, that's exciting. I'm in control. Point of, Oh, at Travis, got it, all right. K2, we were able to have Becky Trent and Amy Jackson back with us. As you know, Amy Jackson retired officially at the end of summer camp. So she has those reasons why she can't be here tonight with us due to her retirement. Amy Lovely was our 3-5 site coordinator, and Michelle Bilby was our 6-8 site coordinator. And at their turn, during the presentation, they will come up and share with you all of the wonderful enrichment opportunities that we provided to those students at those grade levels. So first up, we have May Bendel. We brought May because she has been an unsung hero the last 3 years in our camp. She provides a service to our families that's greatly needed for before and after care. So she's going to take a few minutes to explain how her service was provided.
So I included some of the numbers, excuse me, yeah, from the past couple years of enrollment that we had for before and after care students. We offer care from 6:30 to 9, and then the staff go home and they come back and they offer care from noon to 3:30. This is a split shift for the staff. It's a very difficult, what's the word I'm looking for? Spot to fill, thank you. But while they're in care, because they're with us in the afternoon, they get out at noon, we offer lunch, and then we have all kinds of activities that we do with them. We have large group play, small group play, we do outside interactive screen time, and then on our last day we celebrated with pizza party and popsicles.
And the numbers, May, do you want to explain why your numbers are consistent there and why they're under 40 is due to your licensing? We have many more campers to that, but we have licensing requirements that cause us to.
Yep, we have to, we're only allowed so many children in a specific space at a time because of child care licensing. So. And here's our staff, Miss Jada Bieber, Jeremy Hoko, Kaden English, Sarah Folsom is our program director for that site, and Ariel Wallace. So they worked very hard. They're amazing. I don't know what I'd do without them, and they continue to do before and after care through the fall as well. And then we just have a bunch of pictures. I really like the chess game. I think it's pretty amazing that they're playing chess at that age level. But it just shows all the different activities that we do, and kids have a lot of fun. So.
Does anybody anybody have any questions for May?
Anyone?
All right, thank you, May.
Thanks.
I appreciate it. As you know, it's the first 2 days of school, and the transportation department has been working basically around the clock. I know. So we have John's numbers. We had registered campers that took transportation of 209, which equated to 16 bus runs. So we provided an opportunity for our students to come to summer camp, and we utilized our transportation system to do that. Previously, as Mrs. Bilby can attest to, this is what our expansion program was based on, because we were able to offer transportation. That is the crux of the numbers. Moving forward, we may want to consider how we're able to do that, because if we did not have that, we would probably go back down to our original numbers, which were under about 100-ish. Yep. So, food service. Anthony Delgado provided food service this year. We had the Meet Up and Eat Up, which was grant funded for anybody under the age of 18 was able to come to the Cyrene location for breakfast and lunch. All of our students were able to have a breakfast, and then they received a snack before they left for the afternoon. And then, as May explained in her program, if they went to the aftercare, they were provided a lunch. So some of our students were able to have 3 meals, all of our students were able to have 2 meals, and our community was able to have access to those as well. K2, Mrs. Becky Trent, come on up. Ms. Becky Trent. Do I need to stay up here with you too? Sure, okay. All right, my Vanderpool is ready.
Okay, so at the K2 campus, we had 200 students registered, and after the first week when we were able to see which students, sometimes we have students that register and don't end up attending. So that allowed us the opportunity to bring on some of the students that we actually had to wait list. So at the K2 level, there is always a big demand. So once we looked at our regular attendance, we averaged around 157 students daily. You know, we know it's summer, there are families taking vacations, so we don't always have all 200 there. This year, we had 14 sections between kindergarten and 2nd grade. And one of the things that I was really excited about this year is that out of our 14 classroom teachers, 11 of them were actually certified teachers. 9 of them were our very own dragons. 2 of them were teachers, or soon to be teachers, because they are still in the midst of their teaching program through their university. And then we also had our SSPs that were 1 in each classroom that allowed us to provide 2 adults with class sizes of no more than 17. And we also had our social worker on campus, which was Miley Mack, and our office SSP. We learned very quickly after that first year that 200 students equals a lot of phone calls, a lot of parent calls. So that is a picture of our entire staff.
During Superhero Week.
Yes. So one of the things that I was able to ask of our teachers, since there were so many certified teachers, is a very robust literacy time. I was able to ask them to honor small group instruction in the way that they would during this regular school year. They had SSPs who are our SSPs through the school year, and they know how to run interventions in small groups themselves. So that allowed us to really, really delve in during that literacy time. So the pictures you see before you are everything from classroom teachers running instruction to some of that small group work that happens during that time. This year, we decided to take 2 weeks at a time for each unit. So our first 2 weeks were all around engineering. Students had the opportunities to build bridges, skyscrapers, ramps, and they even launched balloon rockets. There was a lot of that STEAM type activity and exploration happening in the classrooms, and so you can just see there through the pictures just the tremendous amount of creativity and teamwork that happened during that time. And there's more building. And as Katie mentioned, and you'll see in another slide, during the first 2 weeks, one of our field experiences was bringing in, it was called Super U. And he did a lot of teamwork and also complemented some of our PBIS structures that we have within the district. The last 2 weeks, we focused on animals. The students did everything from researching animals to learning their habitats. And this, what you see before you, are just some of the many, many creations and projects that came out of that time. So Amy and I always set up for the teachers their STEM activities and the units. We provide lots of materials for them. We try to make this as smooth and easy because we know that people are coming in during the summer. And I was blown away by the amount of above and beyond that our teachers did, coming up with their own activities and opportunities for the students. So here are some of those very cool habitats that came out. Unfortunately, they're so cool that nobody wanted to give me one of theirs to bring to you. They went home, as you can imagine. And there's just a few more.
And as a reminder, this is all the students' imagination. We give them the materials, and this is what they come up with. There is merely facilitation and guidance. This is all their own independent learning. And reminder, these children are all under the age of 8. So it's pretty incredible when you look through those pictures, what they're able to do, and that just continues to foster that whole STEAM and engineering and that whole mindset that we're coming after here in the Creek.
So the field experiences that we were able to offer, we had 3 different opportunities this summer. So during the first 2 weeks, as I mentioned, we had the Super U assembly that complemented our PBIS structures that we already use through the school year, reinforcing with our students how to treat others with kindness and respect. And it also brought in some very fun team building challenges and activities, which you are going to see in a slide in just a moment. The last 2 weeks, to complement our animals, we had a visit from Animal Magic's Mark Rosenthal, which I soon learned he is a very popular in the YouTube world, and he is a DNR rehabilitator, and he proudly on the side of his van has Nickelodeon's Entertainer of the Year. So for those of us who've been around long enough to know Nickelodeon, that was one of his titles that he holds. He brought in exotic animals that he has rescued himself, and he even brought in his famous parrot, which he informed the children has had over 1 million views. So, and nowadays kids understand what that means, and they were very excited. So, and our last day of camp, to celebrate all of the hard work and learning, we had a foam party with Brouhaha Family Entertainment, and that was an absolute hit with the kids. Again, you're going to see some pictures to showcase all of that. This is our Super U over on the left. Everything from slime challenges to dressing up as superheroes, and building words that create teamwork. So on the right, you'll see Mr. Mark, who brought in the animals. There was a very big tarantula on the right. That was her, yeah. And this is our foam party, and I think that probably speaks for itself. Just the amount of fun that the kids had there. We had popsicles and foam party, and that made it a wrap. One of the other opportunities that we've had the last 2 years is the MSU Extension Program. They come out and teach weekly lessons to our students. Because of the size of K2, we were only able to send each grade level 1 time to that experience, but they had, it was everything on mindfulness in the K2 program. And our students, as you can see, built calm down bottles and slime and putty. They learned strategies and involved in activities that help them with calm down strategies. So things that they will continue to be able to use and reinforce in the classrooms.
And they get to take them home so they can use them at home.
And then, of course, it would not be K2 if we were not on the playground enjoying recess. So that is some opportunities that we had this summer. Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Trent?
I have a couple too,
Sure.
Carrie. Is that great? Yeah. Appreciate what you do for the kids. That's great. You're taking your summer, and so are the other teachers. And this may not be a question so much for you. Everything that I'm going to comment on, maybe towards Rod, and maybe you can help me with it, Rod. So if we have 200 kids that registered, but only 157 showed up, that's about a 25% no-show. So did we hire staff for the 200, and then what would we do with the extra staff, just to pay more attention to the children that are in the classroom? Or did we, when you set your budget for that, Rod? Or if you could answer it.
Sure. So that kind of ended up being an average. I never had a day where we had less than 14 students in a classroom.
Okay.
So
All right, that
that's-
helps answer it.
Yeah.
And what, if they didn't show up and there was more registries than that, then do we reach out to the 250 that registered and there's
We sure
50 that
did.
weren't able to go? Yeah,
Yes.
okay, that's, I just want to make sure.
We gave campers the first 3 days.
Yeah.
I mean, really, we were looking for 2, but by the time you make all the phone calls to.
Right, you
to
said you
just
were making a
really
lot of
check.
phone calls, that's what you're following up on and seeing if more kids want to come that didn't have the original opportunity when they registered?
Correct.
Okay.
And we were allowed to bring in those campers that had been
That's what
listed.
that was it. I think everything is great, but I just wanted to know what happened in that numbers change. Thank you.
Sure.
So next year, I would like to know about the phone party in advance before I come.
Oh.
I would have dressed
Yeah,
differently.
you would have been
I would
prepared.
have jumped in, for sure.
Well, we could have hosed you off after. It would have been fine.
Yeah, I want to work the rest of the day. But next year, if it
Okay,
happens
deal.
again, I'll be there.
Deal.
Thank you, Becky.
Awesome, thank you.
Amy Lovely. She has show and tell. There's a tarantula in there.
No. My name is Amy Lovely, and during the school year, I am the lead SSP at Deke Elementary, and I've been there for, I figured out, 15 years. So, in the 3-5 world, we had 120 students that registered for camp, regularly attending approximately 90. We did make those phone calls to the students that didn't show up the first couple of days. Some of them planned vacations, some, I forgot, or we just kind of never got phone calls back. So this is our staff. We had 6 sections, 3 third grade, 2 fourth grade classes, and 1 fifth grade class. Each class did have an SSP in it. We had the luxury of one of our teachers stepped in at the last second, and God bless her that she did so. Yeah, you can go.
Oh,
Yeah.
And they also had a full-time social worker with
Oh,
Ms. LePage.
yes, sorry.
And just to speak to that teacher, it just goes to show how committed our Dragon teachers are. Misty Como has been a first grade teacher in our district for 20-plus years, 22 this week. And she stepped into for the first time to a fourth grade classroom. And she came, I called her Sunday, and she started Monday, and she just took it and ran with it. So that's the type of caliber of educators we have in this district that we're so proud of, that just see a need, fill a need, and step in and can teach anything, anytime, anywhere. So we are, as Amy said, greatly appreciative to Misty to come in and step in to do that, because she's never been outside of the K-2 world. So, and if you know anything about it, it is a different world when you come up to 3-5, just as you would 6-8 and 9-12. We started with themes of.
We did. So week 1, the students built straw rocket launchers. They were able to build their rocket and then change maybe the fin size, the angles of the rocket launchers, and then do some measuring and graphing. All 3 grade levels were able to do that. Go back. We also, that week, did bubbles, which our 5th graders, when they heard the word bubbles, they were like, oh, that's so kiddie. But our 5th graders actually had the best time, I think, out of all of them. And what we did was gave them recipes, and they had to create the recipe, make the recipe, and then they tested each one to decide which was the best bubble solution. And so here's my show and tell. So one of the things that we did during our second week, so these are little Giacometti sculptures and things that they made out of Mom's Magic. Here is a little cheerleader. So inside of that is simply tinfoil and pipe cleaners. And that's all that was in there. This little guy happens to be one of my favorites. Little mouse with a top hat. I don't think those kids probably know. And then there's another. So, those are just a couple of the medias that we did during our art week. We also did free fall foreshortening art. And what that is based on perspective. So if you look at the second picture, our student with the green shoes, the perspective would be somebody like laying on the floor and him falling. And what is the person on the floor, what do they see? So he even was able to add like the texture of the bottom of his shoes into his drawing. And then one more thing experiment they did was taking just a regular spoon and using a dry erase marker, and you could actually get it to float off from the water. This was probably one of my favorite weeks. We did archaeology, and on Monday, we were able to Zoom with an archaeologist from Notre Dame University, and she spent probably about an hour with our students via Zoom or Google Meet, I guess. They were able to ask her any types of questions. She explained her dig sites that she's been to in the Middle East, and she was very impressed with the questions the students were able to answer and the questions that they had for her. So on the first day, we gave students a chocolate chip cookie, and they had to excavate their chocolate chip cookie without damaging the chocolate chips. Because we know that as you excavate during archaeology, the more that you excavate, the more you damage. So it was interesting that our students that had the most, that struggle a little bit more with attention, were the ones that paid the most attention and were most focused on that. Students also built their own dig sites with dirt and sand, and they laid in artifacts. And as they built, they also graphed where their artifacts were placed in their box, and then they traded their dig site. The next group would have to excavate, and then they kind of matched to see whether the beginning dig site map matched the end result. So part of that week too is we did some research on geodes and how they're formed, and the kids did some measuring and got to use a hammer, which is was a little worrisome, I guess, but they did a great job. So our very last week, we did, for 4th and 5th grade, they built ping pong ball projectile launchers, which they were actually able to take the kit home. Then our 3rd graders constructed an object that, just from paper clips, tape, and construction paper, that had to pick up a ping pong ball and then take it from the start line to the end line. And we also had a foam party. My favorite picture is the young lady up at the top. And the kids just had so much fun. And we asked them, what did you learn that week? And the biggest comment that we heard was that foam tastes gross. and I can say that they are absolutely correct. So some of our field experiences that we had, besides the archaeology week with the Notre Dame archaeologist, we had our 4th and 5th graders working with money management through PFCU. They came every week, and one of our assemblies that we had was Bubbles Are Fun, and the students learned different shapes of, like bubble wands can slightly produce different shapes of bubbles, so.
And then you got to stand inside the pool and have a bubble. I did that. That was actually quite fun. I was like, is it gonna fit me? But it does. She just pulls it up. Very exciting.
And this is our second year of working with the MSU extension programs. Tara Hovis has been with us the last couple of years. She taught the kids some cardio drumming to get them moving. They talked about the different food groups and how to read the back of a snack bag.
Thank you, Eva.
Any questions?
Great. What was the average size of your classes?
It varied. Our 3rd grade, we had approximately 13, 14 were there on average. Our 4th graders, 4th and 5th, we had around 20.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Michelle Bilby, which I've enjoyed all of the campuses. However, this by far was our favorite campus. I think we were finally able to bring the vision. I'm just being honest because we worked very hard to really encompass that STEAM, and we're using all of those spaces, and this is the first year that we've actually been able to get into that middle school space to give those children that experience, and boy, did they flourish. We did, I don't want to steal your whole show, but Michelle did some really amazing things with groupings this year. We had some amazing teachers who took some creative,
License.
thank you. And the STEAM wing is just really, as we know, one of our gems that we have in both of our buildings. Your turn.
Well, what do I say? No, actually it was. Being our first year in the new middle school STEAM wing was fabulous. It gave us an opportunity to have the space that we needed. We didn't have to relocate the materials we needed to another site. Everything was at our fingertips, so if a teacher had a thought or something they wanted to focus on or venture into, everything was right there and we could actually give them that opportunity. We had 54 registered campers. We averaged about attendance of 35 a day. With middle school, it was a little bit different. We had some kids that came for 2 weeks and then were off for a 2-week vacation with family. The difference in our numbers, we had some of our kids that had to go out of state for parental situations, and we had a couple of our students actually got internships for this summer, and I can't begrudge anybody who's going to work off with an uncle in carpentry for the summer. So that's a little bit of our difference in numbers. My fabulous staff, oh my gosh, they made my year so smooth. Beth Merrill, Steve Makovsky, Christine Wingblad, Heather Briggs, Laura and Mackenzie Poffenberger, who are here tonight, Michelle Bailey, and our social worker, Ryan Charles. It couldn't have been any more smooth without them. They jumped in, they accepted challenges, they brought new ideas. It was very comfortable, relaxed, and fun setting, I think, even for the adults. So before I start talking about, you've looked at a lot of things. We bring you a lot of activities, and it's supposed to be an enrichment. And when you look at these slides, as I was sitting back here, and I think, wow, it looks like we're just doing a lot of things. But I think one thing we need to address is when we're doing these things, we're teaching them some skills. We're teaching them reasoning and how to collaborate and how to problem solve. And these are all skills they're going to need when they get into their testing formats, such as M-STEP. So these are skills that we start as young as K2 with some of these activities, and we carry on and we just strengthen those skills as we go. So we always like to start out middle school camp with something that's got a wow factor that's going to get them to come back every week, and so we always start with chemistry, and our first day was Minto geysers, and it was a grabber. It was a sticky mess, but it was fun. We also did some tie-dye, and it's not just tie-dye. We're working with molecules and electrons here. So those are the types of conversations that are going on behind the scenes of just these pictures. So. We also worked compressing air molecules and made these bottle rockets that go on this cool little stand. The students designed their rocket with different nose cones and wings. And then we took them out and shot them off, and they compared the different designs and how well they flew or how they flew. We talked about the weight of the bottle, all that kind of. And of course, what's chemistry without some slime? So this is just something that was fun. They quite enjoyed this. So did the adults. I think we all made slime that day. Our second week was construction. This project was basically not just a summer school project, but designed to carry on throughout our school year this year. They built and placed 3 raised beds into what will now be a new grow area outside of our new steam wing. So you can see them here. They're using, most of them have never held a saw in their hand, let alone a drill or impact driver. And so teaching them how to properly use a handsaw. We talked about, how a saw works, what are the teeth doing, and how to follow a line, and how to not rush, and how to not bind, what makes the saw bind in the wood, and talking about angles. And so you can see here the boys in the middle, they're kind of really looking at this because this the saw kept binding up on her. And so they're looking, are we pushing up on this board? Are we pinching that saw? And we had a lot of these conversations with them. So they're reasoning out how to make this work better. And of course, we put some power tools in their hands. We let them use the drill and the drivers. Once they were done, I thought it would be important for them to have some ownership to these and leave a little legacy. So I brought in a wood burner, and if they worked on a bed, they burnt their name into that plate that now faces the hallway. So when they walk past, they can say, I did that, and there's my name. And then we had them carry them outside, and I said, this is where it goes. This is how it's supposed to be. Here's the shovels. Work as a team. And we stood back, and they did it. They dug the holes to set them in place so that they won't move. I did collaborate with our maintenance department to make sure that they're placed far enough apart so we can get our mowers in there. And our STEAM classes will be planting these next spring. So we ran out of time. The other part we did, third week, was engineering. I had some old rulers left over from the art department. You know me, if there's anything old and junky, it usually ends up in my hands. I had a box of old rulers, and I wanted to do something fun, so we built these wind-powered cars using the rulers, and it worked out really well because the measurements were already there, so it was easy for them to place things. But they were given a kit with a ruler, a motor, a fan, and a battery pack. They had to wire this motor up, construct the car itself, establish where their axles would be placed, and then after that they went on, go ahead to the next one, and they took them out in the hallway and they raced them. Then once they were done racing, they took them back and they adjusted them. So if it went crooked, was it because their axles were misplaced? So there was a lot of problem solving, a lot of reasoning. Some of them thought they had ideas on how to make it go faster, and so they would go back and try to do that. We came back the second day, then we added a sail to them, and we talked about a self-defeating car and whether or not the sail could make it go faster or have influence the direction of the car. So one of the other things we did here is a Magnus Flyer, the Magnus Flyer effect, and this plays back on a baseball pitcher and how a ball travels through the air once the pitcher releases it. So they used different sized cups. You tape the base of the cups together, and it creates the flyer part. You wrap a rubber band around it, and then you fling it, and depending on how you wrap the rubber band and which direction and the weight of the cup and the size of the cup, then they fly. And you can see the yellow arrows, the picture, it's a little hard to see, but you can see there's 3 different levels of how those cups flew for them. They really enjoyed this one. They kept going back and rebuilding, and then some of them made cups so long to see if it had a different effect or if it flew higher. And so they had a lot of thoughts and ideas on this one. We did solar ovens. Thank you to Lorenzo's Pizzeria. They donated the pizza boxes for us. Each kid got an opportunity to build their own pizza box oven. And we did go out the day they built them. We went out to make sure that they were going to retain heat. So you can see the young man checking the heat temperature in his, which I think was about 98, just after being out there 3 minutes. We were going to come back the next day and cook our s'mores, and it clouded up and it rained for 2 days straight. So everybody got to go home with their pizza oven and a baggie with a candy bar, a marshmallow, and their graham crackers, and were sent home to do their cooking at home. So math for us was a different perspective. You know, there's math in a lot of things. Of course, in the construction phase, there was a lot of math in there, and I made sure that they were doing the math and understanding what the math process was for that. But we used some other types of manipulatives. So on the left, you see shut the box. I don't know how many of you have ever played that, but that's a math game in of itself. You roll the dice, you divide the numbers out and calculate what numbers you want to close to see who will win. That was very popular and got played multiple times. In the middle was one that Mrs. Briggs' class did. Those are math problems inside each of those color blocks, and then they bring it together with some mindfulness ideas around it. And the one on the right is actually called Tumble Maze. So you're given some pieces and you set it up as structured, and then you're given an extra piece and you have to redirect what the marbles are going to do with just that one piece. So. And then, of course, math is up and moving. We didn't do much sitting in camp this year. In fact, some of the kids even made comment to the fact that I'm tired. But we kept them up and moving, and there was math here. They're collaborating, solving problems that are posted around the room, and then moving on to the next one. Reading, sometimes you don't even know you're doing it. You might be sitting quietly reading a book. We were very fortunate again this year to have money to put books into kids' hands that they could keep, which I think is huge, and for some kids was almost emotional. You mean I get to keep this? It's mine. I think it might have enticed some kids to maybe read that hadn't read before, because now this is my book. Some would take it home and bring it home back the next day to finish reading it. They did a lot of reading with our MSU extension program, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. And there was some, even on the right there, they're doing word building sentences with words that other kids came up with, and so that was a collaborative action. MSU Extension, we partnered with them again this year, and we had Teen Cuisine. Oh my gosh, what a great program. And she came every Wednesday, and the kids, as soon as they walked in on Wednesday and saw her standing there, they would go crazy. They loved this program. Nicole Lear brought a fabulous opportunity for our kids to learn a tremendous amount of skills, have an opportunity to eat some yummy treats, and build some self-confidence along the way. And actually has already reached out about next year how she wants to improve the program now that she's worked with this late age level. So we're looking forward to that. But they learned how to read nutrition labels, proper hand washing, proper food handling and washing, knife safety. Yes, we gave them knives and we watched them. Properly handle and cook raw chicken. They did not handle or cook raw chicken, but they learned how to do it. And then they learned cooking safety. They actually did some cooking and proper proportions. So here they are. They're doing a couple of nutritional fact searches. They're looking at reading labels. They're finding information and judging different snacks and foods against each other. And of course, then they're let's eat. So one day they had turkey roll-ups that had spinach and apple in them. A lot of our kids had never had raw spinach, so that was an interesting conversation to have with them. Some liked it, some said, ooh. They made their own chicken quesadillas. We used canned chicken, but they did all the cooking. They cooked me one, it was really good. They did yogurt bowls with granola and fresh fruit. And so I think that was, our kids ate really well at camp this year. Between our food service program and this program, nobody went home hungry, I'll tell you that. Mindfulness. So this is something that at the middle school level we did, and next year, after talking to the staff, is going to be a daily scheduled thing that's going to be happening. We saw such an interest and an engagement in these particular activities. Our social worker, Ryan, would take some of our kids off for small group meetings, and the amount of kids that attended those small group meetings, whether it be for a loss or for bullying, the amount of kids that attended those and felt that they were in a safe environment to have conversations and to gain peer respect and encouragement was impactful. That one gives me goosebumps, sorry. But after talking to the staff, we really think that we saw a really strong need for this, and so we're going to be, if we have camp under this same premise next year, this is going to be a daily 10, 15 minutes that we're going to commit and dedicate to this mindfulness growth for our kids. And our last day, we had a field day just for fun. We did a lot of different games. We did a lot of relay races, and we finished up the day with a water balloon fight. So I just want to say thank you to the board for supporting this program. It goes a long way for our kids, the difference it makes, the friendships they forge. You know, these kids, some of these kids are incoming sixth graders, and they didn't know if they were going to have friends, and they made fast friends here. The middle school program, we mixed the grades this year. Instead of having 6th, 7th, and 8th, they were all mixed together, and you could walk into any classroom, age, grade did not matter. They were all friends. They intermingled. It was very heartwarming. So I just want to say, much appreciated. Thank you.
And that concludes our summer board presentation for summer camp. I just want to reiterate, it looks like it's just a lot of fun, but there's so much that goes on behind the scenes because the children are doing this. They are learning. We are mere facilitators. It's them doing the projects and doing the measurement and all of those things, and that's not possible without you and your support. And, you know, as a reminder, we are probably one of the only school districts in the county that offer this type of experience to our community. So it is a point of pride for Swartz Creek and what we can offer for our families and our communities. And we do our best to expand, but we do know that we have constraints that go along with that, just like with anything. But we are very appreciative for what we can do for the students that we have for the short amount of time.
Well, thank you to all of you, and I'll let the board weigh in a second, but I think I hear number 8 coming, Rod. And it's amazing what you do with this program and to see all of the fun, but I do know that behind the scenes, the students are learning, even when they don't know it. And I have a couple questions related to academics. I know that there are some students that are invited initially to attend because of some areas of need that they have academically. And then there are other families who want to send their children as well. Are we doing any kind of academic analysis or follow-up of the students that attend this program to see if it does have an academic impact or any improvement? And then I think we've done surveys previously, and you'll continue those as well? Okay.
Yeah, we did those as well.
All right, so I'm kind of asking out loud as the chair of the Academic Achievement Committee, maybe we can talk about that and what does it look like when students have attended this, and not necessarily compared to their peers, but individually, you know, have they gained in some of these areas?
Absolutely. We were just having that conversation earlier. We want to really look at that, just like we do with the school year with our formative assessment data and our achievement teams, and we want to make sure we have the right measure that's showing us the impact of academics. The goal of summer school has always been to prevent summer slide, and we know that we've accomplished, you know, that piece. But we do want to dive in a little bit more into that academic piece. And like you said, I think that's going to be a really good conversation of how do we capture that appropriately? What should that look like at each level? Because our focus is STEAM and math, and do we change to a different pre and post assessment? What are some of those factors? So we're definitely looking at exploring that and making sure we're capturing the right data, because we know our children are growing and we know that they're engaged. Our behavior problems are down. Our time on task is increased. So we know that that yields results. So we want to make sure we have the right tool that will show us that results.
Thank you. And I know, Jessica, you had something you wanted to say as well.
I need to read my notes. Number one, thank you for doing an amazing job at all levels. And the commitment and just all the different activities, I'm like, I want to be there. I want to do that. I know because we have PBIS, the component that you were talking about in particular with the 6th to 8th graders, and I'm super glad to hear mindfulness being talked about at all the different levels, is what you're talking about doing and how you want to incorporate it next year. Does that, can it and does it transfer? Is it what we can do, or are we doing it during the school year at all? Like, if you, sorry, I have my communication skills are a little bit off. I'm curious to know when you talked about what you did, if number one, you could be a little more specific to give an idea, and number two, if you can give those specifics and we can carry it into the school year, are we making time or can we make time for that?
So what we actually did came from the school year. So it's just a carryover to something. It's maybe we're addressing it a little bit more directly, but mindfulness and social emotional learning, all of that is hit on throughout the school year in every building. We're just going to make a point, since we are in a small group setting and kids are comfortable, and a lot of times we do have kids that may have extra needs. We want to make sure that we're addressing them in an environment that's comfortable to them, and so we're going to make sure that we touch on that more strongly. So if that answers your question. Okay. And yes, it will carry into the next school year.
Anyone else?
I want to say thank you for taking time out of your summer to all of you to do this, because, I mean, that's why teachers, people become teachers, right, to have the summers off, and you guys are giving up your summers to do that, so thank you. I know the kids, my son has done it a couple of years, and although he didn't like going initially, he did get something out of it and did like it after a while.
Go ahead, Jessica, go ahead.
just said, the form that it is in now is grant funding for one more year, is that correct? Is that what we budgeted for?
Well, we got through 3 years. We originally did 2. We think there possibly might be some carryover, but after looking at that, I'm not so sure. We'll have Jamie at some point. ESSER will be wrapped up this year, and they'll do a final count of everything. But my guess is most of that's going to have to switch over to 31A, which is what we ran camp out of prior to the last 3 years. So we had always run a 31A program with state at-risk money. It's just that we used a much smaller pot. So we didn't have transportation costs. We didn't have as many teachers and aides. So we had less campers. We had larger class sizes, things like that. It's just kind of brainstorming on what our pot of money is going to be and what is the most important things to stay. We also did, I think, Michelle, when we first started doing it, we did everyone in one building.
We did a K-5 in one building.
In one building.
When we first started.
Yeah, so a lot of different ways it's been done over the years, but this has been obviously the most expansive because of the finances.
How many weeks did this go for, Rod?
4 weeks.
4 weeks, and how many hours a day?
We did 3 hours a day with the students.
3 hours a day, and how much prep work for the teachers? Did they have to hour before, hour after?
They had a half hour previous and post.
Okay, half an hour. Okay.
So it was 9 to 12 for the kids, but the teachers got 4 hours out of each day for work.
That's fine. They need that prep and, close up and bookkeep everything. And so with the federal money, if it dries up next year, you're saying that we use the state money, if it's there, the 31A money.
So the federal, in this case, is ESSER, and it will
Yeah.
be gone at some point.
So
very soon.
our program will look a little smaller, obviously.
Yeah, we'll have to scale it back on some levels. But we may also be able to increase the 31A that we use. Like I said earlier, the 31A has been increasing every year. As we talked about, I think it was the end of last year, you know, between food services and Travis with technology, when we get in the free and reduced lunch counts, those numbers are what impact your at-risk numbers, and then that's how the state allocates the 31A. And so when we have, you know, 50, 60%, or we jump from, say, 52% to 58%, that's a 6% increase, and that greatly increases the amount of at-risk money that comes in.
Do we use any general funds? Or is it just supplemented with some of the ancillary items, would I say? Would that be a better statement?
The last 3 years been pure ESSER.
Okay.
Materials, staff, everything, pure ESSER.
I mean, I know our budget's so tight that it'd be tough for us to do any funding, but if there is extra money, I mean, I think the board's in agreement, without speaking for them, that it's a worthy project to keep up, but our budget's very tight, so. That's all I need to know. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Rod.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Jackie.
Michelle.
No?
Chuck
Okay.
has.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks to everybody. All right. Now, we have 2 board action items tonight, beginning with the approval of SCEA employment.
I would like to invite Ryan Smith up. As we said earlier, we do have one more SCA employment to take care of tonight. Ryan.
All right, thank you. Good to see everybody. Good evening. I would like to recommend, it's great pleasure and enthusiasm, I'd like to introduce you to an exceptional teaching candidate. She is somebody who has demonstrated a commitment to education, a passion for nurturing young minds, and ensuring an equitable opportunity for each student. She holds a bachelor's degree from Oakland University. At the core of her teaching approach is a belief in transformative power of education. She believes in the potential of each and every student, that each child can learn and grow, which is something that we preach and believe in at Deke Elementary. Relevant experience, Miss Emily Hicks brings with her 3 years of experience at the International Academy of Flint, where she's had a great background of working with a diverse population, developing classroom management skills, lesson planning skills, and really just incorporating her belief into her system within her classroom. She has a commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion, and in an increasingly diverse world, she recognizes the significance of creating an inclusive classroom, which is something we value at Deke, and we think that she'll fit right in with our community and with the district. So I would like to bring forward Emily Hicks for your consideration.
Hi, I'm Emily Hicks, and I'm the new 5th grade teacher at Deke Elementary. I'm really grateful to be here. I'm excited to be a part of this community. I'm grateful for the opportunity to learn from all of the different educators with all of their years of experience, and I'm proud of being a part of all of the initiatives that I'm learning about at Deke and from Swartz Creek in general.
Well, welcome, Emily. And there's a question that I ask each candidate, and that begins with, why did you choose Swartz Creek? What brings you here?
Primarily, the biggest selling point was the years of experience. I've already met several educators here who have started their careers in Swartz Creek and have almost finished their careers here, and I think that that's an invaluable resource.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. With that, I would entertain a motion for approval. We still have to vote.
Say replacement for a retiree, or is this a new position, or what is it? A replacement? Okay. So move, Carrie.
All right, Chuck. Support. Jessica? Any comments or questions? Hearing none, be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the SCEA employment of Emily Hicks, 5th grade teacher at Deke Elementary School as presented. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Jack Sayer,
Yes.
Jessica LaNave,
Yes.
Carrie Germain.
Yes.
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
Andrea Fick.
Yes.
Kim Winter.
Yes.
6 yes.
Motion passes. Welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Emily. And Ryan. All right. Next, we have the approval of the school plan review and inspection authority. And I asked Rod if he could give a little bit of an overview, especially for our new board members. This is something we do each year, so.
Yeah, this is our annual renewal or confirmation with the city. It allows the city to inspect construction and projects going on within the city, which we do have multiple schools in the city. Allows them to do a plan review, and basically this renewal each year gives them the authority to do so.
All right. With that, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Support.
Chuck and Jack, any comments or questions? Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the delegation of school plan review and inspection authority to the city of Swartz Creek as presented. And Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Kim Winter.
Yes.
Andrea Fick.
Yes.
Jessica LaNave.
Yes.
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
Carrie Germain.
Yes.
Jack Sayer.
Yes.
6 yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. All right. Finally, on our agenda tonight, we have an opportunity for public comment. And if anybody would like to step forward and address the board, please come to the podium, state your name, and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. And don't run at once. Thank you very much. All right. Now I'm going to open up the floor for comments and questions from the board.
I have a couple, Carrie, if that's all right.
Sure, Jack.
So I don't know if everybody saw their emails recently, but we did get a couple emails, and one of them was a concern by a parent, and I won't discuss the exact issue or not, but it's about the use of our facilities, and specifically the track and the football field. Rod, I don't know if you want to talk about this at all, but the parent was concerned over the perception of special privileges and such for our staff rather than the public in terms of the use of our facilities. And I don't know if you just want to address that. I know you did an email, but I think the public has a right to have this addressed for them as well. So if you want to address it, that'd be great.
Sure, our buildings are open for rental at any point in time. There is a rental fee from everything from a classroom to a gymnasium to the cage to the football field, and they have the opportunity to do that. If a staff member wants to take part in that, they can also access the same thing that the public can access, which is the ability to rent out our facilities.
Thank you, Rod.
Go
ahead.
No, I'll follow up on your
Okay.
question. Are they charge the same rates, right? I mean, it's just a standard form that we're doing that. And
Yeah, 2 memos ago, I embedded the link to the rates. It's actually a tiered system. If you're an outside of Swartz Creek, it's the most expensive, and if you are someone directly related to school doing a school function, it's the least expensive. And I think there's a middle lane in there as well, in between direct contact and totally outside.
what happens if there's a conflict in the schedule? Is it first come, first serve? Like, so if I was outside the district and wanted to run some basketball, and I applied for it, and then maybe somebody inside the district said, hey, I'd like to use the cage too for basketball, how does that work?
We have facility calendars.
Okay.
We also have a couple of, what the community ed uses, I can't think of it, Jim, do you? Event manager. So we have a facility calendar, and we have a application called Event Manager. So once it's in and paid for, it's in. We don't move them, generally speaking. The only
So first come, first serve.
first come,
That-
first
that's-
serve, unless there's one of those rare occasions like, hey, it's homecoming, sorry. You know, the school has to use it.
No, I repeat this. I know most of the answers, but it's good for the public to hear this. so they understand it, and it's out and transparent for everybody. Thank you.
I am,
One other thing. Oh,
on that note,
okay.
I have actually rented, when my son was, I don't think he was in middle school yet, rented the pool for his birthday party and the cafeteria. It was like the greatest thing ever. Actually, I just paid for open swim for all the kids and rented the cafeteria. So I paid, like I said, a different fee. But then I've also been part of the PTO with the middle school and rented those things. The PTO has to rent the facility from the school. So there are times where it seems like I wasn't a school employee, I was just the PTO president, but we as a PTO rented and paid the janitor fee and paid the fee to have the pool, whatever. So, and there are levels, and it's very great when you can utilize those things. I've done it a few times.
Right. One other thing that I recently was made aware of is that the emails to us board members are not accurate on the hyperlinks so like when you click our names, it brings up our emails. So like mine, for instance, brings up B. Sapanic, which is not accurate.
I think those have all been corrected. Is that correct, Travis? They're all.
Those are corrected? Okay. And then the last thing is, and you addressed this in your board memo again, but I just thought, we should speak about it at a meeting, is the SSPs and aides for kindergarten and the lower elementaries. If you want to address that real quick.
Yeah, we have 10 kindergartens, 3 early fives. If you set the early fives aside and did an SSP at 10 classrooms, it'd be about $400,000. There are multiple ways to come up with $400,000. None of those are easy ways, but that's the rough cost of putting additional SSPs. We have every 2 years, sometimes 3, but about every 2 years, we do an analysis of our SSPs and our support staff, and we cut and trim and we readjust. Generally, what happens over the course of a couple of years is the number of people grow, and we have a chart by building, if it's a larger building or a smaller building, how many we think we need for behavior, how many we have a lead SSP at every building. We have specific interventionists. So between behavior, leads, student success coordinator, and all those people running our reading interventions, each building is allotted a number. And so we track that as an administrative team when we do staffing, just like we do staffing with certified staff. We take a look at what we can handle. But if you specifically say 10 more people, that's roughly $400,000. And probably not including retirement. It depends on if it was a outsourced, like if you're going to go to edge staff, you'd have to add 20%, and if it was a school employee, you'd have to add 40 to 50% on top of that 400,000.
Gotcha. That's all I have, Carrie.
And to add on to that, Rod and Ms. Carey, and to the board in general, if we add new positions, I think the board should be aware of it because it's a legacy cost if we take it out of the general budget. And I know Rod's been good about it, like he says, hey, I need to add 4 positions, and we had this discussion with the previous superintendent, that it should at least become the board, so we should be aware of it, because if we're gonna add several $100,000 to our general budget, then you got benefits, you have other things, and we're gonna have to pull from somewhere, just because we have some extra money once in a blue moon. Doesn't mean we need to spend it, because we do have a lot of projects coming up. But I understand that staffing is our #1 concern and keeping the kids safe and well-educated. But these are things that the board, it's part of your fiduciary duties to look into that before we just do that with the money,
And just for, I agree. And for clarification, when you see all those postings coming out of Carrie Gopel's office, those are almost all replacements. Those are people that come in and go, and so we got to fill the spot.
Well, absolutely, that's the nitpicking of it.
If there's a new job created, I will inform you. Those SSPs and those non-certified staff that come through on a weekly basis. Like today, I saw one for a substitute bus driver because we don't have enough, to fill the. Well, it impacts athletics. Yeah. Middle school athletics start at 4:15, but if I'm on a route and I'm not back, who's going to ride the route? So we don't, we're not short up there. And there's a lot of places. I mean, luckily, we're one of the few districts short up on the certified staff, but we're not nearly short up on the non-certified side.
How many, Rod, give us because I'm going to ask this question. I guess it's on our board comments, Carrie, if I can continue you were kind enough, because I ask for it every year, an annual update of a flow chart, so all the board members can understand it. I asked for that several years ago to be created, and Ben recreated it, and you've continued on, where we have a chart of every division, every unit, how many employees that person has with department heads, so it gives us an idea of total amount of employees that the district employs, which is 450-ish right now.
Yeah, Kevin has that saved. We were kind of waiting to see if our students would shore up a little bit.
Yeah.
We're hopeful that we're up, but we'll see as everything settles in. But yeah, he has it broken down by certified staff, support staff, administrator, and student count at each building. And
Right, it's a nice, easy chart for everybody to see where we're at.
so maybe October, I could bring that.
Yeah, because you got to figure out your student count, and how many, right, what you got going on. So that would be, the only extra request I have is that and a new hire, so that's it for my board comments. Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
Back off the
Anyone
track.
else? Jessica?
Well, I had that same thought. So I was hoping maybe for September, but I didn't know if that would be possible then.
Just know that the student count will be.
Sure, it might be a little off. Just the earlier in the year, it's kind of nice to.
What's the student count today? Do you know?
I do know what it is today, I'm not going to say it. I don't believe it's accurate.
And then,
You can say a guesstimate.
just, because we're coming into the fall and like we talked about the roundtables, and I think we had mentioned this, that we were gonna start it, I thought, in the fall, if we could do, facility tours, the board tours again, that would be really nice. Because I gotta confess, it's been a hot minute since I've been to some of the buildings, and I would love to be able to do that. And
We'll have Sue send out a.
I love our district, and I looked over here because I saw a smiling face. Well, I saw more than one, and here's my other comment, because when I said thanks for doing a great job, I feel really bad that I only looked in this direction. Thanks for doing a really great job and being part of the summer school program. Thanks so much. And welcome.
Do you want a survey on dates as well as buildings, or
Please.
both?
And can we just thank Sue, because we always pile on more and more work for her.
Thank you, Sue.
I mean, the vice president could take on those surveys. I'm just saying.
Oh, the Elms Road Elementary principal, are they going to continue with the Humane Society and the dog programs reading? Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? All right, thanks again to all of our presenters and to the teams who sacrificed some of their summertime, because our staff is amazing, but you guys have come back every single year and shown us the wonderful work that you do, and our students are benefiting, and it just warms my heart. I get goosebumps too, Michelle, when I think about students taking a book home, and who knows, maybe it's one of the first books they've opened up, and it will open up their future. So thank you so much, and congratulations, Emily, and welcome to Swartz Creek. We're glad you're here. Thanks for being here, Ryan. I know you have a drive home, so thanks, Travis. We always forget you. I mean, we've already congratulated Sue for all the work that we pile on to her, but Travis, we appreciate everything that you do in the district. I know this is a busy time of year, and you have a young family, and you don't choose to be here, but we do appreciate that you're here. And to Rod and Jim and the team, thank you so much for your leadership. And thank you, Reese, for coming back. And we look forward to hearing from you monthly. And with that, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Support.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.